There is one sentence, just one, that when you finally say it, when you finally mean it, when it rises from somewhere so deep inside you that it no longer sounds like a question or a plea or a negotiation, it will change everything. It does not work this way because it is magic. It does not work because it contains some hidden power that words alone can carry. It changes everything because the person saying it has finally become someone the narcissist in their life never prepared for. This is someone they never accounted for. This is someone they spent years dismantling piece by piece, layer by layer, identity by identity, and they failed. That sentence is coming for you. But first, you need to understand something that perhaps no one has ever told you clearly enough, honestly enough, or with enough respect for what you have actually been through. Because what happened to you was not just a bad relationship. It was not a communication problem. It was not a personality clash or a rough patch or two people who simply were not compatible. What happened to you was a systematic, calculated, and often deeply unconscious erosion of your sense of self by someone who needed to destroy you in order to feel whole. If that sentence just made your chest tighten, if something in you just exhaled in recognition, then stay with me. Everything you are about to hear was written for you. If this kind of content speaks to something you have been searching for, real psychological truth, not platitudes, not toxic positivity, not empty affirmations, then right now, before we go any further, subscribe to this channel. What we do here is dismantle the lies that narcissistic abuse plants inside of you, and we replace them with clarity. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because the conversations happening here are the ones that will actually change how you see yourself and how you move through the world. Now, let us begin with what a narcissist actually fears, because this is where most people get it wrong. Most people think a narcissist fears exposure. They think that if they just tell enough people, if they just document enough incidents, if they just say the right thing in the right moment in front of the right audience, the narcissist will crumble. Most people think the narcissist fears anger. They think that if they finally raise their voice, if they finally stop being so accommodating, if they finally push back with the same ferocity they have been absorbing, the narcissist will back down. And some people, the ones who have been in the deepest stages of the relationship, the ones who have been worn down to something unrecognizable, they think the narcissist fears losing them. They have been conditioned to believe that their value lies in how desperately the narcissist keeps pulling them back. But here is what actually keeps a narcissist awake at night. Here is what causes them to escalate when things feel too calm. Here is the thing they cannot control, cannot weaponize, cannot redirect or reframe or gaslight into submission. What a narcissist fears at the most cellular level of their psychology is someone who no longer needs them to define reality. It is someone who no longer requires their validation to know what is true. It is someone who has rebuilt an internal compass so solid, so rooted, so impervious to manipulation that no amount of charm or rage or manufactured chaos can throw it off course. What a narcissist fears is someone who is genuinely, completely, irreversibly done. They fear the kind of done that is not angry, not hurt, and not the kind of I will leave but come back later routine. They fear being done in the way that a door closes and the sound of it does not even echo. They fear the kind of done where silence is not absence but presence, specifically the presence of someone who has finally chosen themselves so completely that there is simply no longer any space for the narcissist to occupy. To understand why that kind of person terrifies a narcissist, you have to understand what a narcissist actually is. And I do not mean the pop psychology caricature, the loud, arrogant, obviously selfish person who brags constantly and takes up all the oxygen in the room. Some narcissists look like that, but many do not. Many narcissists are soft-spoken. Many narcissists are charming, attentive, occasionally generous, and deeply skilled at making you feel like the most important person in the world until suddenly you are not. Many narcissists present as the victim in every story. They are the wounded soul who just needs someone to finally love them correctly. Many narcissists look like the person you fell in love with, the person you trusted, the person you built your life around. What ties them all together, What makes every flavor of narcissism recognizable once you know what to look for is this: an inability to tolerate the full humanity of another person. It is a fundamental incapacity to see you as a whole, complex, autonomous individual with needs and feelings and boundaries that matter independently of how those needs and feelings and boundaries serve or threaten them. You were never a person to them. You were a function. And when you stopped functioning the way they needed you to function, they did not grieve you. They punished you. And if you are sitting with that right now, if something in you is pushing back, because surely that cannot be true of the person you loved, let me ask you something. When did they celebrate your success without making it about themselves? When did they sit with your pain without redirecting the conversation to their own struggles? When did they hear your boundary and honor it? Not because they agreed with it, not because they understood it, but simply because it was yours and that was enough. I am not asking these questions to wound you. I am asking them because I need you to see clearly. Because clarity is not cruelty. Clarity is the beginning of survival. The architecture of narcissistic control is not built overnight. It begins with mirroring. In the early stages of the relationship, the narcissist becomes whoever you need them to be. They reflect your values back at you. They share your interests. They understand your wounds in a way that feels almost supernatural. And this is not always conscious manipulation. Many narcissists genuinely believe they are the person they are performing, at least in those early stages. The tragedy is that what you fell in love with was largely a reflection of yourself. You fell in love with the version of them that they constructed specifically to capture you. And when that mirror began to crack, when the real person began to show through the performance, your brain did something entirely understandable and deeply dangerous. It held on to the original image. Your mind insisted that this is who they really are. It told you that this other version, the cold one, the cruel one, the dismissive one, the one who makes you question your own memory, that is not the real them. You told yourself it was stress or fear or childhood wounds or perhaps something you did. And so the cognitive war began. The war between what you experienced and what you were told you experienced, between what you felt and what you were told you should feel, between who you were and who you were slowly being reshaped into becoming. This is the mechanism psychologists call cognitive dissonance, and it is the cornerstone of narcissistic control. The narcissist does not need to tie you down. They control you through confusion, through the constant oscillation between warmth and withdrawal, between praise and punishment, between moments of breathtaking connection and episodes of baffling cruelty. Your nervous system, that ancient survival-oriented part of your brain that is always scanning for safety, becomes addicted to the intermittent reinforcement. The unpredictability itself becomes the bond, because when someone is inconsistent with you, your brain does not relax into the relationship. It works harder. It tries to solve the puzzle. It monitors, analyzes, adapts, and contorts itself, trying to figure out what you need to do or be or say to get back to that early version of them. The version you are chasing does not exist. It never really existed at all. What you experienced was a performance, and you have been auditioning again and again for a role in a story that was never written with your well-being in mind. Gaslighting is the term most people know, but very few people truly understand how deep it actually goes. The most insidious form of gaslighting is not about specific events or arguments. It is about your entire way of experiencing reality. It is the slow, cumulative process by which someone makes you feel that your perceptions are wrong, that your emotions are exaggerated, that your needs are unreasonable, that your memory is faulty, that your intuition is just paranoia, that your boundaries are attacks, that your grief is manipulation, and that your anger is instability. Over time, you begin to outsource your reality to them. You stop trusting yourself. You stop asking what you think or feel. Instead, you start asking what they think, what they feel, what they will accept, and what they will allow. You have not gone crazy. You have not become weak. You have simply been systematically trained to distrust the one organ that was built to protect you, which is your own mind. If you have felt that, if you have lived that, and if you have stood in your own life feeling like a stranger to yourself, unsure of what is real and what has been planted there by someone else, I need you to hear this. That is not who you are. That is what was done to you. And those are not the same thing. There is something in psychology called trauma bonding, and it is one of the most misunderstood phenomena in the entire field of relational psychology. Trauma bonding is a biological process. It is what happens when cycles of abuse and reward, threat and relief, hurt and comfort create a bond in your brain that mimics and in some ways surpasses the bonds formed by consistent love and healthy attachment. Trauma bonding is not a sign of weakness. It is not stupidity. It is not low self-esteem. It is your brain doing exactly what human brains are designed to do in response to certain patterns of intermittent reinforcement. The research is very clear on this. The bond is real. The chemistry is real. The love you felt is real. This remains true even if the person you gave it to was not capable of receiving it or returning it with any kind of integrity. And this is critical to understand because so many survivors of narcissistic abuse are consumed by self-blame. They constantly ask themselves why they stayed, why they went back, and why they defended someone who was hurting them. The answer is not that something is wrong with you. The answer is that something very precise happened to your nervous system. And understanding that is not an excuse. It is a foundation. It is the first brick in the wall you are going to build between yourself and everything that tried to erase you. This channel exists for that exact reason, to give you that foundation, brick by brick, with the kind of depth and honesty that actually transforms rather than just providing temporary comfort. If you have not subscribed yet, do it now. The people who stay in this community are the ones who stop circling the same old pain and start actually getting free. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join the thousands of people who are using real psychological understanding to rebuild themselves from the inside out. Now, I want to talk about the moment of reclamation, because here is what eventually happens when you have been through enough. When you have done enough reading, enough therapy, and enough late nights sitting alone with the truth of what was done to you, there comes a moment. It is different for everyone, but eventually you stop trying to fix them. You stop trying to be understood by them. You stop trying to get the apology or the acknowledgement or the moment of genuine remorse that you deserve but will almost certainly never receive. There comes a moment when you stop needing them to confirm your reality and you simply step into it yourself. And when that moment comes, something shifts in the dynamic that the narcissist cannot ignore and cannot control. Narcissistic control operates on a very specific fuel source. It relies on your emotional reactivity, your hope, your fear, your anger, your love, and your desperate need for resolution. As long as you are reacting, even if you are reacting with rage, even if you are reacting with tears, even if you are reacting by fighting back, the narcissist has exactly what they need. They have engagement. They have your energy. Your reaction, regardless of its form, is proof to them that they still matter to you. And mattering to you is their drug. It is their supply. It is the reason they keep escalating, keep provoking, and keep returning after you have tried to leave. They are not coming back because they love you. They are coming back because you are still reacting. And when you stop, when you genuinely, not performatively, stop, the game becomes unplayable. You cannot manipulate someone who no longer wants anything from you. You cannot control someone who no longer fears losing you. The narcissist is not actually powerful. The cruelty, the control, the manipulation, and the arrogance. None of that is power. All of it is defense. All of it is the frantic, exhausting, and relentless maintenance of a false self that was constructed, usually in early childhood, to protect a core that feels fundamentally unlovable and unworthy. This does not make them innocent. This does not make what they did to you acceptable. But it means something very important. The person who hurt you was not operating from strength. They were operating from terror. The rage was terror. The contempt was terror. The charm was terror. The silent treatment was terror. All of it, every tool in their arsenal, was deployed in the service of never having to face what they cannot face about themselves. And you, loving and empathetic and perceptive and open-hearted as you are, you walked into that war zone with your arms open. You offered them the very thing they needed and could never accept, which is unconditional positive regard. You offered them the chance to be seen and loved as a whole person, flaws and all, and they could not take it. Not because you offered it wrong, not because you were not enough, but because the part of them that could have received it never developed. Understanding this does not mean you pity them into your life again. Understanding this means you can finally stop taking it personally. You can finally stop asking what you did wrong. You can finally stop looking at yourself through the distorted lens of someone who was incapable of seeing you clearly. You can finally pick up the mirror they shattered and start piecing it back together, knowing that each fragment you recover is not a wound to be ashamed of, but evidence of a self that survived something designed to end it. Now we come to the sentence, and I want you to notice how we arrived here. We did not arrive here through a trick, through revenge, through drama, through confrontation, or through perfectly crafted words delivered in the perfect moment. We arrived here through understanding, through truth, and through the slow, painful, necessary process of seeing yourself and your situation with absolute clarity. Because that is the only place this sentence can come from. If it comes from anger, it has no power. If it comes from hurt, it has no power. If it comes from strategy, it has no power. It only has power when it comes from a place of genuine, settled, unshakable knowing. The sentence is this: I no longer need anything from you. These 5 words, or some version of them, delivered without heat, without hope, without anger, and without sadness, delivered from a place of complete internal calm. That is the key. It is not saying I am done with you, because that still sounds like an ending that required effort. It is not saying I hate you, because that is still a form of intimacy. It is not even saying I forgive you, because forgiveness is not something that needs to be announced to the person being forgiven. It is something that happens quietly inside you, for you, by you, with no audience required. I no longer need anything from you. In whatever words fit your mouth and your truth, the meaning is exactly the same. And the narcissist will hear it. They will truly hear it. And they will feel something they have not felt since long before you met them. They will feel the particular terror of being genuinely irrelevant. You will not be dismissed in a way that can be spun into rejection. You will not be left in a way that can be reframed as abandonment. You will not be angry in a way that still reveals desire. You will simply, quietly, and permanently be unnecessary to them. You have become something they cannot manage. You are now a person without an open wound they can press their thumb into. You are a person without a desperate hope they can dangle. You are a person without a fear they can activate on demand. You are a person who has looked at the full picture of what they are and has walked away, not with bitterness, but with the quiet confidence of someone who finally knows their own worth and no longer requires it to be recognized by someone who was never capable of recognizing it. The people who come out the other side of narcissistic abuse are not just geographically separated. They are psychologically free. They are not harder and they are not colder. They are simply more discerning. They are more attuned to the difference between love that nourishes and love that consumes. They know the difference between someone who mirrors them and someone who truly sees them. They carry within them a kind of quiet authority. It is not arrogance and it is not toughness, but the unshakable calm of someone who has been to the deepest part of the darkness and found at the bottom of it themselves. You are still there, you are still breathing, and you are still worth everything.